Today, I am here to talk to you about all my favorite things from June. As usual, we're going to start with my favorite books. The first book that I have here is Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett. And let me just tell you, this book was a f***ing delight. This book is the diary of a 30-year-old woman in the early 1900s as she travels and researches fae folk to put all of the information together into an encyclopedia. In this point in her life, she has traveled very far north to find a very specific type of fae that has yet to be seen, and runs into other fae folk related problems while she's there that she tries to help solve so that she can get more research and information for her encyclopedia, as well as there is like an annoying but hilarious love interest who follows her there and sort of ruins, sort of helps her research. And the love story in this is not like a main feature. It's just one of the plot points that gets touched on and slowly grows throughout the story. It's not a romance story. There just happens to be a little bit of a romance in it that is absolutely adorable. And oh my goodness, it's so good. As I kept reading, I fell more and more in love with the characters and the story and the world and the descriptions. I adored this so much. It's very whimsical and it's also hilarious. Like the love interest guy made me snort laugh multiple times and made me snort laugh so loud that it startled my cat twice. As you can see, I did a lot of tabbing. There were a lot of things in this book that I loved. It also gets very suspenseful and intriguing and stressful towards the end for sure. Overall, it's pretty cozy, but there is definitely some stuff that happens in it that's not ideal. I need the second one immediately. Well, I needed it immediately when I finished reading it and I didn't get it because books cost money. But the next time I have money to buy books, it will be one of the ones I will be purchasing. Anyway, this story was just charming. It was funny. It was whimsical and magical. Like, there's lots of fairies in it. Lots of different types of fairies. There's like magic spells. There's a magic dog. It's just pretty much everything that I want in a book was in this one, and it was great. The next book that I have here is another mouthful, and that's The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson. This is one of his standalone secret projects that he did his Kickstarter for, and the second one of these books that I have read. The only other one of these so far that I've read is Trust of the Emerald Sea, and this one is very different. And I haven't read a lot of Brandon Sanderson. I've actually only read Trust of the Emerald Sea and Mistborn. But I want to say this is very different from his other books. I can't speak for his YA books, though. There's a little bit of fantasy in this, but it's definitely more sci-fi. And I feel like the story is definitely less dense than some of his other fantasy books. But it was just absolutely hilarious. Like, I had such a good time reading this because I laughed out loud so much. Like, the whole thing was just so funny. And this is about a man who wakes up in a magical medieval England and he has no idea who he is, how he got there, why he's there, or what is going on. And all he has with him are remnants of a book that has exploded called The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. And he tries to go through the pieces of this book that are left to try and figure out what is going on. And one of the things that I really liked about this book was that it has excerpts from the handbook, and there's like drawings and stuff from the handbook, and the excerpts were so funny. And it has like FAQs and instructions about going to medieval England and how these going to different medieval Englands works. I'm not going to tell you how it works because it was very fun figuring this out as I read it. There's a lot of that really cool stuff sprinkled throughout the book, which is really fun. But anyway, the story is just about this man figuring out why he is in this magical medieval England, how he got there, and how to get home, and who he is, and what part he plays, and what is going on. There is some sinister stuff going on, and overall it was just a really good time. I had so much fun reading this. All the blue tabs were funny things. I laughed out loud so much while reading this. It was so funny. It was such a good time. That's all I got on this one. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a TV show, and that is a show that's been out for a while, and I just started watching it in June, obviously. And I'm going to say it's not at all what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. But anyway, that's Downton Abbey, which is so wonderful. It's so wonderful, especially the first season. So it starts in 1912, but the show actually spans over a very long period of time. And it is about a family who lives in this ginormous house. It's essentially a little castle. And they don't have jobs. The money that they have is all inherited and grows through like investments and stuff like that. But they don't work for their money. But because of their position in their town, they're obligated to provide employment. So they have a big service staff that runs the household. The show follows the family who owns and lives in the house and the service staff. There's drama within the service staff, there's drama within the family, there's also things that combines the two of them, and the thing that I find so wonderful about it is that not everyone, there's a few people in the show who are not good people, and like that's part of the storyline is about them doing not good things. But for the most part, everybody is so nice to each other. Everybody is caring and loving and kind, and they want the best for everyone, and everyone is treated so well. Like the service staff are treated so well by the people who own the house, and the managers of the service staff treat the people who work below them with respect and make sure that they're also taken care of if need be. And that's one of the things that I love so much about it. It's just so wonderful. It has delightful music, and just the fact that it's a timepiece also makes it fun. So it starts in 1912, and the first episode opens with them finding out about the Titanic sinking, and the last living heir of the household has died on the Titanic. So the show starts off with them trying to find the next heir, which can't be any of his children because they're all women. And the story continues from there, but it takes place over a very long period of time. So I've only watched the first 3 seasons so far, and the first 3 seasons span over 9 years. So for the most part, the show is wonderful and delightful, with people being so nice and kind to each other and trying to help each other and support each other. But there is also drama. There's drama that we wouldn't call drama today, but because of the times and because of who it's happening to, it's dramatic. And then there's like actual real drama. Like there's real sad, emotional, suspenseful, scary things that happen. Like because of the long time frame that it covers, like World War I happens and the flu epidemic and other things happen. So like people die, people get hurt, some other things unrelated to the war and the flu that happen that are pretty emotional and intense. But overall, the atmosphere of the show is comfy cozy. It's comfy cozy with some really emotional things that do happen. And I think because it's so comfy cozy, when those really emotional things happen, it makes them seem that much more gut-wrenching because there's so much wonderfulness surrounding everything else. So whenever something bad happens, you're just like, oh my God, no. It's like the worst thing to ever happen. Whereas if you're watching a show where stuff like that happens all the time, it's a little bit less of a big deal, if that makes any sense. So don't go into it thinking that it's just a cozy show, because it's not. I cry almost every single episode, but most of the times I've cried because it's so wonderful. And the last thing I have to talk about is a video game, which is called A Way Out, and it's a co-op narrative game, which is pretty cool, I thought. And you can play it locally or online, and I played it online with my friend from work. And it's really cool. It's pretty simple. Like, I don't think that it's objectively a very hard game. There isn't a lot of shooting in it. There are a few scenes with shooting, but mostly it's sneaking and working together, like one person doing something while the other person is trying to do something else. So that aspect was really cool, especially because you need to speak out loud to each other about what one person's doing and the other person's doing at the same time, so that you can work together. So the game is about 2 people escaping from prison, but you do actually escape from prison pretty early on in the game, and the rest of it is just stuff that follows. Mostly what I thought was really fun about the game was the way that it was put together and how the cooperative gameplay worked. That was what made it so much fun to me. You have to make decisions together, so depending on where you are in the game, there's certain ways that you can tackle a certain situation or certain directions to go in, and you both have to make the decision together, which was really neat. And sometimes depending on what one player was supposed to be doing and what the other player was supposed to be doing, the split screen was different. Like, it would have like instead of it being split down the middle, it'll be split like over here. So like this person's screen is a lot smaller than this person's screen because this person is doing a lot more. And there were a few parts too where instead of you both playing at the same time with a split screen, it was going back and forth between one character and the next, and the way that it transitioned between the different players' like gameplay was really, really cool. I thought just the animation and the way that it was portrayed on the screen was really, really cool. And there was a huge twist that neither of us saw coming, blew both our minds, which was really fun. And then there were a few parts with shooting. Like there was one part where one person is driving on one half of the screen and the other person's like on the back of the car or the back of the motorcycle shooting on the other part of the screen. But for the most part, it's just a lot of sneaking and just literally working together, which was really cool. It's a very short game. I think we played it in under 6 hours, and we paid $7 for it. So you should get it, because for $7, I mean, it's super worth it. I mean, even 20, I would pay $20 for it. I wouldn't want to pay more than 20 because it's such a short game, so you're not getting as much, gameplay out of it as you would from another game. It's also a very, small game in the sense that there's no exploring or things to collect like in other games like this. It's very, very linear. Like, you gotta go this way and you gotta do this. But it was a lot of fun. I really liked it. And that's all I have for you. So let me know your favorite things from the month in the comments. And that's all. Have a good day. Bye.